afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and a very warm welcome to you, Nimrat, at the ET CISO SecuFest 2025. We are so honored and privileged to have you in our midst. It's wonderful to see you, to meet you, and we're really looking forward to hear from you on what you have to say, what you have to share with us. But before that, मैं आपकी तारीफ में बशीर बद्र का एक शेर अर्ज करना चाहूँगी. हम भी दरिया हैं, हमें अपना हुनर मालूम है, जिस तरफ भी चल पड़ेंगे रास्ता हो जाएगा.
क्या बात है. Thank you so much. Thank you.
So from print modeling to television, movies, also American television, and you've also done OTT. So you've had a very substantial inner growth, both as a person as an actor. So in an interesting departure from technology and cybersecurity, we're going to be talking to you about your personal journey and your professional journey. So the first thing that I would want to understand from you is when we talk about life, life is a learning curve, and so is theater. When we think of theater, we think of theater actors as someone who has the greed of learning the stagecraft to portray a certain emotional expression to their audience and to represent that. So in that sense, theater is a multifaceted and very powerful art form because it combines performance with storytelling and emotional expression of live actors. So how did theater mold you as an actor?
First of all, thank you so much for having me here. It is really such an honor, and thank you for such wonderful words, the introduction. And I have to say that there are very few rooms that I walk into where SRCC still holds credit. I mean, it's all about the roles you're playing or the outfits you're wearing, and it's wonderful to hear that, I was introduced with my college thrown in as like a show card, So I miss that, and I think it's very cool, and thank you for having me here. It's wonderful to be in this room.
It's beautiful and blissful time of our lives.
I mean, yes, and also like it's a college I'm very proud of. It's not just an institution.
Proud alumni.
It's a fertile ground for some of the best people, the best minds we've seen. Of course, I did nothing, absolutely nothing with my education from there. But I'm very proud to be an alum from that college. So there were so many lovely things you said about life being a learning curve, and I think also growing in an army environment has a lot to do with that. I have always had unpredictability as a part of my upbringing. Every 2 or 3 years, one is moving around. You're moving from place to place to place, which is why I feel like a lot of us army girls also are a part of the entertainment business because it requires you to uproot yourself every now and then and, sort of grow your roots wherever you are and find family and find new friends every once in a while. And you're so...
Slip into different situations very seamlessly.
Yes, hopefully. And that depends on the kind of people one is with and the kind of an environment you are in, which is what actually theater gave me. In a nutshell, when I moved to Mumbai from Delhi after my graduation, I came with absolutely no knowledge of the field, and I was an academic kind of a person, and I wanted to understand how to go about acting and how do you really work on camera at all. Like, what does a set look like? I had absolutely no idea of anything. And once I started working as a print and a TV advertising model, I figured that there were just those 3-4 things I was just tapping into, which is, being surprised or looking pretty or being shy or, that was all that we were doing on camera, which was very lovely. And it paid my bills and it helped me find my feet in Bombay as a young girl, straight out of college. Then I realized I needed to learn how to really be a different person, how to somewhere add value. And understand what was it like to read a scene. How do you read a line as not you, as someone else? That's what theater...
Getting into the character.
Yeah, it's like, if you're a sports person, you're going to have to do some net practice. You're going to have to run on the track for a while. So there's no such thing for an actor, really, right? You are your own instrument. Aapne jo riyaz karna hai, apne aap hi karna hai. So it was it was there that theater really became an indelible part of my life. And being a bit of a geek and a nerd, it was just the kind of stuff I was waiting for. I had a bit of money that I'd earned from advertising, so I could afford to do theater, which really means that, you know, you're putting in all your working hours into something that's not really necessarily financially compensating you for your time. And I used to just be there, rehearsing, learning about people from different backgrounds. You know, people were there from Marathi theatre, Bengali theatre, Gujarati theatre, absolutely alien
Such
environments.
stalwarts.
They're stalwarts. And it's almost, it runs in their veins. You know, like it's almost like if I were to choose to go into the army, I would know how to slip into that sort of a work life. It was incredible, and those were my best days. I'll be very honest. I have never had more fun in my life than just pure rehearsal, you know, blood, sweat, and tears at times, and you're just doing the same thing relentlessly, show after show, rehearsal after rehearsal, trying to find the truth, and it really, it's one of the richest experiences of my life.
So you mentioned that you worked with and observed some of the very senior theatre actors from Marathi and Gujarati themes also. They are the judge in their own right. So when we talk about working with them, observing them, in any profession, the phase of apprenticeship is as important as a profession, and sometimes even more than the education itself. So what did you learn from them? Do you have any interesting stories or anecdotes that you can share?
Well, I actually observed by watching plays in Bombay. I had never watched professional plays before that. So I started with watching plays, and I identified a few people I really wanted to work with. And then I was lucky enough to work with one of the best people in Marathi theatre and in Hindi and English as well. His name is Mr. Sunil Shanbag. So he was the person I did my first play with. And I really remember that, you know, it's so difficult to be on stage because you see on camera I can decide, or the director decides what they want to show to the audience. On stage, the audience decide what do they want to look at. If I stand in the background and I do something interesting enough, you're going to watch me and not the main person. So those kind of interesting things, you know, where you learn really
Practical
how to...
facets of acting.
I mean, yes. And, you know, like you just learn how to be an actor, how to really immerse yourself into something, even if it's playing a tree, you know, as is commonly stated. The anecdotes, well, there was a show where just before my entry, I actually fell backstage into a gap which was almost this high. And I fell with a tray full of stuff, which had sugar and milk and tea and whatnot. And I really thought that, you know, my life was over because I was the first person going on stage. And everyone was just breathing and gasping. And they were, you know, like when the audience gets restless, it's palpable, you can hear it. I could hear that. And I thought I had lived and died 1,000 times. And I somehow, you know, my co-actors realized what had happened. They just went about creating a new tray of tea and whatever. And they got it for me and they picked me up and they put me back on stage. And, you know, there's no bigger example of team effort. And then I went in and I did the show. And, you know, the show must go on is a real story. And it has happened to me in that way. And there are
How
many
did the
other
show
things.
go after that?
Brilliantly. And, you know, to my fortune, I actually had to play somebody who was a bit of a bumbling fool and someone who was nervous and very anxious. And there was no better way to enter the stage.
उस्ताद के फिसलने को भी पैंतरा माना जाता है.
Exactly.
Talk about, you know, being an actor. When you moved into films, you have to really immerse yourself in the character to live, breathe, and aspire to be that character, to really portray the nuances, the behavioral traits of those characters. How do you prepare yourself for such a long process? And how does the environment around you help you in terms of observing and then picking up those and imbibing it in your characters? What's your mechanism or process for preparing for some of those characters?
Well, I actually really like to immerse myself a lot before filming work starts. So I do all my work and all of my questions, answers, trials, tribulations about why I'm doing this, why am I not doing that, and what are the different 1,000 choices I can make for a part. And it's like my drawing board, it's like, you know, the whiteboard that I work on. whether it's deciding the look or, those are superficial things. Those really don't have anything what you're going to do on camera. Really, I mean, it's about how you're feeling. I read the script relentlessly. I don't have a count. There's no 100 times or 150 times or whatever, but I read it as much as I can. And that is really where I get most of my inspiration. I figure, the character through the lines, and I feel like everything starts on the storybook, on the page for me. When it comes to the vision of the director, that is of course supreme, because that's kind of like it is the universe you're going to work within. Now, what you do with it is your own thing, of course. And I've been very fortunate to work with some of the best people who've allowed me to bring my language and to bring my understanding of the character to the screen and to the set. And there's nothing better than a healthy agreement or a disagreement. And I will say a healthy agreement, because it's not because, you're fearful or you are trying to please or appease anyone. It is because you agree on the same values for that character. That's very important. And then, eventually you just enjoy respect. As a girl, as a woman, I enjoy any environment where I feel respected and loved. That really brings the best out in me, at least. I can't work in hostile environments or with, with people that one can't see eye to eye with value systems. It becomes a little difficult for me.
That's a universal truth. Also, you mentioned about being an army kid and how that makes you more malleable in terms of adjusting to different situations. And being an actor, how have these two things helped you learn attachment and detachment in life?
Wow, that's a very interesting question. What it has helped me with my upbringing, where you don't grow up in the same city or in the same building or in the same environment, is to be able to love something, leave it behind, and enjoy it with a little bit of a perspective, almost have a third person's perspective, which I believe is extremely important as actors, because it's the death of you if you just celebrate something you've done 12 years ago. For instance, if I did the Lunchbox, which is actually 10 or 12 years ago now, and if I thought that, okay, there's nothing better coming my way and this is it, and this is like, the ultimate thing anyone can do or whatever, I would have never been able to explore anything. I would have not progressed or challenged myself or had my own trials, tribulations as an actor. And I do feel that that sense of detachment, it happens very quickly for me, actually. The day I finish filming, I'm done with what I've done. I almost don't even want to watch it. It's almost painful for me to go back even into the dubbing room and have to see myself, because there's only sadness about what else I could have done and how better it could have been. I am one of those people. There are some people who can better their performances by looking at it and by, helping with the edits or dubbing or all of that. I get very inward. So I actually have a very organic, detached relationship with my work. And I don't view myself as Nimrat Kaur, the actor, or the, the public personality and all of that. And I think that's where my upbringing has everything to do with, just how I'm hardwired. I have no interest in, almost like the paraphernalia that comes with the job. And by that I mean, not that I don't enjoy it, I love it, but I don't let it affect me. I don't let it affect me personally, professionally. When I meet you, whether it's here or anywhere else, I am the same me. I'm a different me only when I'm at work, on set, playing someone else.
It's a great thing, because we see stardom sometimes gets into people's minds, and they kind of start to act in a certain way. But that's great that you're not emotionally invested in your work, but you enjoy the craft. That's a very nice thing.
Yeah, I mean, I've been fortunate. I think I give all the credit to my mother, really, because, she has single-handedly ingrained those values into my head. And that it comes very naturally. It's not even an effort. So I'm grateful for that.
Humility has to be imbibed in you right from childhood. Now, let's make this a little more engaging and interactive with our audience. I have a quick question for all of you. Can someone tell us which is the first movie Nimrat acted in? Yes, please. Can we get him a mic, please? Asked.
One Night with the King.
My God! Is there an award?
Picture with
ये आपको
you.
कैसे पता चल गया?
थोड़ा आपके बारे में रिसर्च करना पड़ता है मैडम.
वाह, क्या बात है यार. This is like amazing.
No, we
ये तो
share the
मुझे भी
same.
2 बार सोचना पड़ा.
We share the same background. I was with the Air Force for 19 years. You being a military
How
girl.
lovely. So One Night with the King was a movie with Omar Sharif and आप ही बता दीजिए. Lawrence of Arabia में कौन थे और वो जो Paul क्या नाम था उनका?
You had a very small role, I believe.
Small नहीं मतलब silent role. तो
Yes.
जो लोग होते हैं ना पीछे कॉस्ट्यूम पहन के ऐसे ऐसे घूम रहे होते हैं. I was just roaming around from left to right, right to left. I was paid good amount of money. It was shot in Jodhpur, and it was the first foreign set I was on. And he's an iconic actor. How can I forget his name? It'll come to me. So
He's already done that
आप ही बता
research.
दीजिए ना. आपने ये नहीं देखा?
इतना रिसर्च नहीं किया.
इतना नहीं किया.
The question I wanted to ask is for the lunchbox. You said you read the script for let's say 100 odd times.
हाँ मतलब
I'm
I don't
still-
have a count. मैं बहुत पढ़ती
Yeah, yeah. So I wanted to understand what is the end of it, like as a character.
आपको क्या लगता है?
You go with Imran or you don't go with
इमरान तो नहीं थे खैर.
Irfan, sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
कोई बात नहीं.
Irfan.
बताइए आप बताइए क्या लगता है?
I think you go with
बस you're a romantic. जो लोग नहीं होते उनको लगता है नहीं 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 गई.
considering the Indian culture and I mean it's a bit different story altogether, right?
You're right.
So that's what I thought since you understood the script and you
Yes.
must have the
So within that, the director and I had different opinions. I am a hardcore romantic. I believe that she went away. There was no question or a doubt in my mind. You know, उसने सब छोड़ छाड़ के वो चले गए थे भूटान, पता नहीं ढाबा खोल लिया होगा वहाँ पे, I don't know. वो शायद मेरे अंदर की जो सरदारनी है उसका एक ड्रीम है. But there are many people who don't believe that they went, you know, and they met. वो भी एक perspective है. So we left it open-ended so that these questions come up and so that it's your, you know, that's where the audience comes in and they decide.
I thought it will be a part 2 as well, but I'm yet to see.
Maybe in some other parallel universe. But thank you for your question.
Can someone tell us which is the first advertisement Nimrat starred in? The first TV
That's
ad?
a tough one. That's a
Yeah,
tough
Nitya,
one.
please.
Well, this is a tough one, but thank you. Again, these were both shot after the Lunchbox. So we filmed the Lunchbox in 2012, September, October. And the Dairy Milk ad, the Cadbury ad was done after it was
Cadbury
premiered in...
Silk.
Yes, Cadbury Silk. That was shot in Kuala Lumpur, I remember, in May, after we premiered in Cannes. So May end या June में shoot किया था in that year, 2013. My first commercial was with Mr. Sujit Sarkar. And this was for Asian Paints. And बड़ा प्यारा एक गाना भी था, वो शुभा मुद्गल ने गाया था. So it was a small montage.
Was this the Har Ghar Kuch Kehta Hai campaign? Was this the Har Ghar Kuch Kehta Hai campaign?
Har Ghar Kuch Kehta Hai campaign. Exactly. So this was before the movies happened. This was right after I'd done a couple of music videos for an album called Tera Mera Pyar. So that is something that was shot
That
in
was Kumar Sanu's
Kumar
music.
Sanu and Shreya Ghoshal.
Yes,
Two
that's
different
right.
songs. So yeah.
Trip down the memory lane.
Yes, always. Advertising is beautiful.
Yes,
I love it.
absolutely. The storytelling, and in such a short span of time, they capture so much and it has so much impact on the audience's mind. So, one of the other things that I've noticed about you, Nimrat, is that you're a very authentic person. So, one of the things that people are missing in their lives these days is sabr, shukr, and sukoon. And I think that's something that CISOs would also like to have in their lives. So, a large part of being alive is being able to feel the emotions. But what we see today is that either people are emotionally numb because they are chasing different priorities in life, juggling different responsibilities. They're going after a lot of materialistic possessions, or they've become stoic because they don't want to share their vulnerability with anyone. So you portray expressions and emotions so well on screen. So, what's your personal mechanism? How do you deal with experience and accept all the entire spectrum of emotions that you feel? And how does that help you live a more full and authentic life?
आपके क्वेश्चंस में मैं गुम ही हो जा रही हूँ, आपको पता है।
सोचने पर मजबूर करना ही हमारा
बहुत
काम
ज्यादा,
है।
और अब यू आर वेरी पोएटिक, आई हैव टू से। मैं आपके क्वेश्चंस में ही गुम हो जा रही हूँ। आपने शुरू कहाँ से की थी बात?
यहाँ से की थी कि हाउ डू यू एक्सेप्ट एंड डील विद ऑल द एंटायर स्पेक्ट्रम ऑफ इमोशंस दैट यू फील.
एक चीज मैं जरूर, I'll add to your idea of expression and people experiencing joy or not. I recently actually was told that there's a survey that happens about the world happiness quotient, and India actually ranks below Ukraine and things like that, countries of such sort, where you would expect conflict and just geographically and otherwise, you would expect India to rank higher. Now, maybe I'm not getting the names right of the countries, and I don't want to quote randomly, but I was very surprised to see that we as a country don't rank higher. And that did make me think that what is it about our culture and our, general population that we don't prioritize joy somewhere. Something somewhere needs to shift. Also, I think social media has a huge part to play in it, where if we express ourselves on social media and we get accepted and we get loved out there and a lot of likes and a lot of feedback and comments, then it makes our joy richer.
Because we need validation
We
from
need
social
validation.
media.
We've always needed validation. Now it's become a platform. We all need validation, but now it's become a legitimate platform where you can actually see, and it's palpable and it's tangible. So that is somewhere a little bit scary. Coming to your question, really, which is how do I express myself on screen and how does that bleed into my life? I actually keep everything very separate. I don't involve my personal life in my work, and the other way around doesn't happen. It's the healthiest way I know how to go about things, and maybe I'm also a little blessed there because I can compartmentalize things. I don't like to take grief or joy of doing something on set home. And I don't like to bring my family or life situations into work. That part is a little bit harder because that's real. I can somehow cut off, professional highs and lows at work. When you're on set and working, I can detach myself from that in an easier way. And I do feel that, it just helps to, there is nothing more therapeutic and almost meditative sometimes to just be on camera in that moment, and it doesn't always happen. But कई बार क्या होता है ना, एक God blessed moment होता है, जब वो भले कैमरा पे कैप्चर हुआ नहीं हुआ, made it to the edit, didn't make it to the edit, but you feel like something else happened at that time. Something beyond your control and beyond your planning, and something will happen, something weather-wise or some external environmental stimulation or something your co-actor did or something. And that surrender and that truth of that moment and living in the now, which is the hardest thing to do, that I find absolutely invaluable. So that is something I really wait for when it happens.
But how do you experience the other emotions, fear, uncertainty, doubt, self-criticism? These are emotions we all experience. And we're scared to share these vulnerabilities with other people in personal and professional life. That happens with everyone. So how do you deal with that? How do you make sure that, when we talk about emotion is energy in motion. How do you make sure that it's expressed through a creative platform, something? How do you make sure that you deal with it and you resolve it instead of bottling it up? Because that's a big problem with people.
You're saying personally or professionally? Personally, I'm very selective. I don't, choose to express my deepest fears or inhibitions or worries to everyone, because I feel like that people need to earn in your life. You can't spend that on anyone and everyone just because you need to dump it somewhere, or you just need to, overshare or whatever. I'm extremely, extremely private. I am very guarded about, my own personal challenges, because I feel like I want to hear what the voices, the voices I want to hear are the voices I need to trust and respect. And I don't believe that you need more than 2 or 3 people if you're lucky in your life, than that. But I don't just go around, making a show of what, I don't do that. I'm extremely private like that.
Absolutely. We all have our inner circle and we like to share things only with them. Now, when we talk about looking inwards, where you spoke about social media is so much about the external world, what you want to project and portray to the external world. So we are so busy looking outside, we don't. But they say that मैं भी तर गया और मैं भी तर गया. So how do you look into yourself? Do you practice meditation? Is there some sort of a inner engineering work that you do?
मैंने बहुत कोशिश करी है मैं करती हूँ मेडिटेशन बट आई डोंट थिंक मैं इतनी सिंसियरली अभी तक कर पाई हूँ मेरे लिए
Not a daily
ट्रैकिंग
practice?
एंड हाइकिंग एंड वॉकिंग एंड फिजिकल एक्टिविटीज वेदर इट्स एंगेजिंग विद pottery, anything that requires me to create something or then be in the midst of nature. There is nothing better for my mind, and I find that the most meditative. I find creating a character very meditative. I find that lovely. I feel like I'm a slightly, I'm not a sedentary person. I'm somebody who likes to keep moving. I'm someone who likes to keep being out and about. I need the next activity to be lined up. I'm already planning to go to Marudmalai temple right after we are done from here. I'm just saying that, I need to keep being interested in something so that I can keep feeling curious and joyous. So that is something that brings me a lot of joy, and it really settles my mind. Cleaning. I keep cleaning things. I keep arranging stuff. That is something that I don't have OCDs. I don't want to misquote that.
Decluttering does help sort
Yeah,
out
yeah, I
things
love
in the
that.
mind.
I love it,
And
yeah.
movement changes mood, as you said. So physical activities
Yeah,
are
I do
critical.
believe the mind follows the body. So
Right.
when I'm really
Very
low,
true.
I make sure I put on makeup, I wear very nice clothes, and I'm out with my friends.
Right.
Yeah.
At this stage, we'll involve the audience again. Can you tell us what is the name of the American TV series Nimrat starred in?
Homeland.
Yes.
That's one.
Right.
And
You like-
getting quite ambitious with them. One Night with the King was too good.
Season 4 Homeland.
Season 4 and 8.
And 8. Yeah, sorry. 4 and 8.
But thank you, yes. So there's a show called Wayward Pines I've done. I don't know if anybody knew that. So that's like a science fiction show I've done, a finite series. Really, really interesting and weird.
Absolutely. Now, let's take a look at some of the pictures that are a return ticket to Nimrat's memorable moments. Can I request my console team to show us the first slide? Okay. So, Nimrat, you recently celebrated your birthday, belated happy birthday. And birthdays are a very precious moment in our life. They get us to rethink a lot of things in our life, how we plan life, how we prioritize life. What do birthdays mean for you, and what is your idea of celebrating a birthday?
First things first, I have to get out of Bombay. I get out of there, and if I'm not working, then I choose where I'll go. This is actually from last year when I had gone to Vaishno Devi, Srinagar, and Gulmarg. So that was the trip I had planned with my sister, and it was absolutely fabulous. I tried skiing for the first time. This birthday, I was actually in Kumaon with my parents. I went to Jageshwar Dham, which was absolutely gorgeous. One of the most ancient and Jagrit Sthal tha wo really. It was really, really stunning. I went hiking and trekking again. I saw rhododendron in its full bloom and glory for the first time. Birthdays for me are about enjoying the things I love most, which is natural
How it should
experiences.
be.
Traveling mostly within India, I really enjoy traveling within India the most. I feel like our food, our people, our land, I can spend a lifetime and I'm sure there'll still be places left to visit. So I always identify an unexplored area which I haven't been to and then I go for it.
I think that kind of completely captures the essence of a birthday. But tell me something, on your next birthday, if you were given a chance to spend an entire day with 7-year-old Nimrat, what would you do? How would you plan the day to make it a fun day for both of you?
Cute question. I would firstly plan the cake. 7-year-old Nimrat used to love, I still do, even though not so 7-year-old me loves the same cake. It's a dark chocolate cake with lots of icing and maybe some gems on top because they would look so cute. Mama would make that at home, you know. We used to not, there were no bakeries and all of that. I'm talking about the mid 80s, mid to late 80s actually. So I would plan the day going boating, I think. I used to love boating at that time. You know those boats which have those paddles and all, and you know. And I would involve going somewhere for a really nice meal, because in the army we used to not really get to do that. We would live in cantonments and there would be a birthday party at home. I would involve some boating, some food, some great cake, and a massive dollhouse, which I never got. You know, because, you know, army salaries don't allow you to, you know, buy fancy things and you have no exposure to that stuff. But I knew, you know, it was hearsay that there is such a thing called a dollhouse and there's a kitchen set and there's something fancy around it where you can play, you know. And otherwise, I used to play in the mud, you know. I used to dig mud and put bricks and, you know, get utensils from mama's kitchen and try and play ghar ghar or whatever. I would really want a dollhouse. Yeah.
I want to go back to the inner child within us, and then sometimes our child is so proud of what we've become in life, and I'm sure the 7-year-old Nimrat is very proud of this Nimrat.
She would have no clue. She would only be interested in cake.
Maybe she's your biggest cheerleader now.
She is why, she's actually the reason why I'm here today, because I feel like up until the age of 11 or 12, I was my fearless, most, ambitious self. And everything I've done in my life is because of those formative years that I spent.
Absolutely. Now, can we have the other slide, please? There's a little surprise for all of you.
ਤਾਗੇ ਚ ਪਰੋਲਵਾਂ ਸੀਨੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਚਲਦੀਆਂ ਰਗਾਂ ਚ ਲਕੋਲਵਾਂ ਆ ਜਾ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਸਾਹਾਂ ਦੇਣੀ ਤਾਗੇ ਚ ਪਰੋਲਵਾਂ ਸੀਨੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਚਲਦੀਆਂ ਰਗਾਂ ਚ ਲਕੋਲਵਾਂ ਦੂਰੀਆਂ ਦਾ ਸੱਪ ਕਿਤੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਡੰਗ ਜਾਵੇ ਨਾ तेरे मेरे प्यार नू नजर लग जावे ना तेरे मेरे प्यार नू नजर लग जावे ना तेरे मेरे प्यार नू नजर लग जावे ना.
That really deserves a round of applause. And it sounds so beautiful and soulful. What does music mean to you? It can mean different things to different people. It could be a recreation activity. It could be a time travel machine that takes you to memories. It could be a state of being for some. What does music mean to you?
So my mama used to listen to All India Radio all day. She still has the radio on all day. And she sings really well. She was actually a state-level ghazal singer. So I've heard her sing, you know. I've grown up with her voice in my ear the whole time. I've not been trained professionally. This was something I did on the insistence of my very close team member and a dearest, dearest friend, Shraddha Mishra here. So this is all because of her. I was always very shy. I always wanted to, you know, just keep this to myself. And I used to hum songs and stuff. And, you know, she was like, you've got to put this out, you know, people should know. And music means everything to me. When I'm driving, I must listen to, you know, really interesting and fun and good energy music.
Setter, mood elevator.
Setter, mood elevator. And I'm a Sardarni, you know, we don't move without music. And music is everywhere. You need...
Parties get ignited with Punjabi music.
And Punjabi music is Punjabi music, you know.
Right.
It's like, you can't, I mean, यहाँ पे एक पंजाबी अभी आप song लगा दो, मैं 5 minutes आपको देती हूँ, everyone's gonna have something going on, you know, you can't. So music is life. I love it. I've grown up hearing old Hindi songs. It's therapeutic. I find great solace in listening even to, you know, classical, Hindustani classical music. I'm a huge admirer and a huge fan of Kumar Gandharv and Bhimsen Joshi ji, and you know, I've not been fortunate to see Bhimsen Joshi ji, but I've seen a lot of concerts. I chase good music wherever I hear it. and there, I also attach that to my roles. Many times I find musicality in the way a character is, or you attach a song, or if you want to listen to something and go into a shoot with that mood, music plays a very big part.
So, is there a song that speaks to your soul that you want to hear that's not just a mood setter, but everything for you? That's a healer, a mood setter, a mood elevator, therapeutic. Is there such a song that really speaks to your soul? Inspires you?
There are many songs. I'm trying to think of a good answer for this. My mama used to sing Ajeeb Dastan Hai Ye. Somehow that song is always stuck in my
Hauntingly
heart.
beautiful.
Hauntingly beautiful, sums up life, has a lot more about it than just uske alfaz, uski jo ek melody hai, uska jo composition, everything about it is just pitch perfect. I love it. And otherwise, I'm a huge Diljit Dosanjh fan and a Karan Aujla fan, so there are many other songs that are coming to mind, but this is the answer.
On that interesting note, we'll open it up for an audience question. Can we have an audience question, please? Yes. Yes, please. Can we get her a mic?
Hi Nimrat, you are looking super gorgeous. My name is Saloni and my question is, I was watching a television show and their Hira Mandi actresses were there and they were sharing some of the examples on the set. It was Sanjay Leela Bansali, who is a very perfectionist. So one of the actresses was sharing a moment wherein she said she has performed a shot for multiple times, maybe 30, 40 times, just the way she was walking, and Sanjay Leela Bansali was not satisfied, and then she has to perform this shot again and again, again and again. So my question to you, and she was sharing the experience that it was quite frustrating for her, but when it came on the screen, she was really satisfied about it. So I want you to share one of the experience, if you had the same kind of experiences, wherein while you were doing this, any kind of shot which was not very comfortable at that time, but when it came on the screen, you were really happy to see your performance.
A lovely question. Thank you, Saloni. Thank you. So the only thing I have a problem with portraying on screen is violence, because I find it very difficult to raise my hand and to throw a punch. I love action, but I find it very difficult to get physically intimidating or violent. I'm very happy to shoot guns away and stuff because it feels cool, But there was a series I'd done called The Test Case, where I had to beat the crap out of, if I can say that word. I had to really beat this guy down because, it was a despicable act he had performed. And, I had to really go all out. And I had trained for it for a lot of time and all of that good stuff. There are those mats, crash mats and all of that, You're trying to protect the other actor as well because it's acting at the end of the day, We're not actually punching someone or slapping someone. It's just all show. But I just couldn't do it. And I would just stop. You know how when you show like a mock fight, you know how girls fight like that. So I felt like I was just, it's a true story. And any time that's shown as a cliche, I was like, guys, I've actually lived that. I am that person. I am that person, who does, stop it. I am that. So I can't do this. I cannot go for it. And I just have such a hard time. And they had to really brainwash me. ये अच्छा आदमी नहीं है. इसने ये किया, आपको याद है इसने आपके साथ उस एपिसोड में क्या किया था? I was like, हाँ, okay. ठीक है. And then again, I would come, I'm ready. Okay, action. That's it. That's all I would manage. So it was so hard. It still is. So anytime I read about violence in a scene, एज एन एक्ट मेरी हालत ख़राब हो जाती है और मैं बहुत ट्राई करती हूँ यार वैसे उसकी तो ज़रूरत ही नहीं है मैं ऐसे ही कुछ भी बोल दूंगी एंड इट विल बी इनफ वर्ड्स कैन किल जैसे नहीं यहाँ पे तो चाहिए so this is something I struggle with. I'll get better. Hopefully I won't have to do too much of it.
Hello. Yeah. Hi Nimrat. Yeah,
Hi.
here straight. My name is Sandesh. So just now you told about there is one song which you listen, say from Pandit Kumar Gandharva or Bhimsen Joshi, and then you try to correlate and develop that some during some character. So any such song if you can tell us that of Pandit Bhimsen Joshi or Kumar Gandharva which developed some of the character, because this is really very deep creative thought and I know where it is coming from. My dad used to be a celebrity photographer, and whenever he used to do any model shoot and all, so he used to ask them which is the song which can make a mood out of it, and then he used to play that song in our studio, and then he used to do that photo shoot. So if any song that you want to explain and which you could correlate that help developing some specific character of yours.
जी, कुमार गंधर्व का तो एक गाना जो आइकॉनिक गाना है जो हम सब जानते हैं, उड़ जाएगा, हंस अकेला जग दर्शन का मेला. So that is a song that I find deeply introspective in life, because I feel like it's the sum and substance of our lives. बस ऐसे निकल जाना है. It's like life is a bubble on water. ऐसे निकल जाना और पता भी नहीं चलेगा. So I find that song as like a life theme song. I haven't chosen any of such songs, Bhimsen Joshi ji's or any of such stalwart songs for my roles yet. It's more like, music, piano sometimes, or sometimes, you listen to certain melodies by composers. जो एक Enwadi, I think उनका नाम है, if you can help me if you know the name. So, there are certain people who compose certain mood setters, you see. Those I have relied on a lot. Yeah.
One last question, Nimrat. A father is a daughter's first hero, and your father is a national hero. So what would you say about your relationship with him? Are there any values that he's taught you, values that the world is now forgetting?
Well, like I said, the reason why I am here is because my father was with me till age 11. And, the wings he gave me till that time are really the reason why I have been able to fly as far as I have, and, why I still continue to aspire for uncharted territories and keep challenging myself, or that fearlessness before life happened, because we lost him under very unexpected and very difficult circumstances in Kashmir in 1994. Up until then, everything I saw and everything I remember, he was someone who never said that you can't do something. He, for instance, there was a school in Patiala I had to take an admission in, YPS Yadvindra Public School, and there was just one seat left. I was a late entrant into the admission, examination process. And someone came home, we'd just been posted to Patiala, and he said, कि आपकी लड़की का हो जाएगा क्या, ये तो एक ही सीट है. तो कहते हैं हाँ हो जाएगा, एक सीट है ना, हो जाएगा. And there were like some 300, 350 kids. I saw him say that, and I told myself कि हाँ हो जाएगा. I was scared, but that is the message he gave me. And he did tell me in his own way, because parents of a certain generation, they don't really express themselves. वो ये आपको बैठ के Instagram type quotes नहीं बताएंगे. Yeah, like वो internet वाली चीजें आपको नहीं होती हैं. वो एक उनके जिंदगी जीने के अंदाज में था. Sorry?
They give you wisdom and nasihatein, which,
I mean, he lived by example.
Yes.
He was a son of the soil. He was a farmer's son. सुबह खेती करते थे. रात को 1.5 या 2 miles चल के जाते थे किसी जगह पे, एक स्ट्रीट लैम्प के नीचे पढ़ाई करते थे. स्कॉलरशिप्स पे आगे गए, IMA से आर्मी में गए. He was my hero, and he continues to be. And I feel like उनका जो एक living with dignity and doing your best, even if you are doing a small thing in the house, ये अपना पूरा 100% वहाँ पे लगाना है. पूरा जी जान, अपनी तसल्ली जब तक आपको नहीं होती है, तब तक आपने वहाँ से हटना नहीं है. That is something that I saw in him, He was so fierce and yet so beautifully aware of life without making a show of it. And I do believe that he lives through me, and I am very blessed to have his blood in my body.
Absolutely. You're a proud daughter, and we can see that. Now, do we have any more time left for any audience questions? Okay, we don't have any more time. So can we have the last slide, please, so we can close this? All right, Nimrat. So you have a very beautiful relationship with God. We've seen you connect with God at the Kamakya temple also. You recently went to Mahakumbh also. And that's very important. You have spirituality as your anchor because acting is a lonely profession. It's wonderful to see you have that anchor in life. And it's great to see that you believe in the culture so much. You know what they say, कि तेरे आंचल पे ये तेरे सर पे ये आंचल क्या खूब है लेकिन तू अगर इसको परचम बना लेती तो अच्छा रहता. I think that's what you've done, and it's beautiful that you've done it with a silent smile. We really admire that, and our audience is very lucky to have been listening to you. Thank you once again. Can we have a huge round of applause? And